Have you ever looked up at the stars? They twinkle in the night sky. Each one is unique. You wonder, what is my purpose? What makes me special? We all have dreams. We want to do something amazing. We want our lives to matter. The Bible tells us that God created us with a plan. He has something incredible in store for each of us. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you." God's plans are not for evil, they are for hope and a future. He wants to do something extraordinary with your life. Just like a loving father, he wants the best for his children. He wants us to live lives full of purpose and meaning. Imagine a potter working with clay, his hands moving with precision and care. He molds and shapes it with care, paying attention to every detail. He has a specific design in mind, envisioning the final masterpiece. In the same way, God is the potter, and we are the clay, being shaped by his loving hands. He shapes us into the people he wants us to be, molding our character and spirit. He gives us unique gifts and talents, each one carefully chosen for us. These are tools to fulfill his purpose, to serve and uplift others. Romans 12:6 reminds us we have different gifts according to the grace given to each of us. Your gifts are special, meant to be used for good. Don't compare yourself to others, for each person's journey is unique. God knows your strengths and weaknesses, and he values you as you are. He will equip you with everything you need, providing guidance and support. He will never give you a task you can't handle, always ensuring you have the strength to persevere. He promises to be with you every step of the way, never leaving your side. Remember the story of David and Goliath? A tale of courage and faith. David was just a young shepherd, seemingly insignificant, but God chose him to defeat the giant, seeing his potential. God saw something special in David, a heart full of faith and bravery. He equipped him with courage and skill, preparing him for the challenge ahead. Life is an adventure. It's full of ups and downs. There will be challenges, but God promises to be with us through it all. He gives us the tools we need to overcome any obstacle. Hebrews 12:1 says, "Let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us." This life is a race, and God is cheering us on. He wants us to finish strong. He gives us strength for the journey. He provides guidance when we are lost. He offers comfort when we are down, and he celebrates with us when we succeed. God's love for us is unconditional. He believes in us even when we doubt ourselves. He knows our potential. He sees the greatness within each of us. Imagine a beautiful symphony. Each instrument plays a unique part. Some are loud, some are soft, but together they create something amazing. That's how God designed us to work together. He gives each of us different gifts. Some people are gifted teachers. They explain things in a way that's easy to understand. Others are gifted with mercy. They comfort those who are hurting. 1 Corinthians 12:7 says, "To each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good." Your gifts are not just for you, they're meant to bless others and build up God's kingdom. When we use our gifts to serve others, we experience true joy. We discover our purpose. We make a difference in the world. Think about Moses. He was a shepherd. He wasn't perfect, but God chose him to lead the Israelites out of slavery. Moses was afraid, but God said, "I will be with you." God gave Moses the gift of leadership. He also gave him courage and strength. Moses trusted God and he obeyed. He led the Israelites to freedom. God sees the potential in each of us. He can use anyone, no matter their background. He doesn't call the equipped, he equips the called. When God calls you to something, he will equip you. You may feel afraid, you may feel unqualified, but remember, God is with you. Esther was a young woman living in a foreign land. She was chosen to be the king's wife. She didn't choose this, but God had a plan. Esther discovered that her people were in danger. She had to do something. It was risky, but she knew she had to act. Esther's cousin Mordecai said to her, "Perhaps you were created for such a time as this." God gave Esther the gift of courage. She spoke up for her people. She saved them from harm. God can use you too. He can use your story. He can use your gifts to make a difference. Trust in Him. He will give you the strength to do great things. Life is full of challenges. We all face difficult times. But these hardships are not meant to break us. They are meant to build us. God uses trials to strengthen our faith and character. James 1:2-3 says, "Consider it pure joy when you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." These trials teach us to rely on God. They make us stronger. Think of a plant. It grows stronger when it faces wind and rain. Similarly, we grow when we face adversity. God knows what we need to become the people He wants us to be. He never abandons us in our trials. Through hardship, we learn patience and endurance. We become more compassionate and understanding. We learn to trust in God's plan even when we don't understand it. God is with us, guiding us through every storm. Joseph's story is a powerful example of how God uses trials for His purpose, transforming our deepest struggles into stepping stones for His divine plan. Joseph was betrayed by his brothers and sold into slavery, a heart-wrenching betrayal that could have broken anyone's spirit. He faced many hardships, but he never lost faith in God. Through every trial, Joseph's unwavering trust in God shone brightly. Despite his suffering, God was with Joseph, guiding him through the darkest valleys and giving him strength. He was falsely accused and thrown into prison, yet he remained faithful. Even in chains, Joseph's spirit was unbroken. Genesis chapter 50 verse 20 says, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." This verse encapsulates the essence of Joseph's journey. Joseph's trials were part of God's plan, each hardship a piece of the puzzle leading to his destiny. Joseph's faith and perseverance paid off. His steadfastness in the face of adversity was rewarded. He became a powerful leader in Egypt, second only to Pharaoh, a position of immense influence and responsibility. He saved many lives during a famine, including his own family. His wisdom and foresight were crucial in a time of crisis. His suffering was not in vain, it was preparation for greatness. Every challenge he faced was a step towards his ultimate purpose. God can take our darkest moments and turn them into something beautiful. Like a broken vase repaired with gold, our scars can become our strength. He can use our pain to prepare us for His purpose. Our trials are not meaningless. They are the forge in which our character is shaped. Joseph's story reminds us that no matter what we face, God is always working for our good. His plans are greater than our pain, and His purpose is always for our ultimate benefit. Paul's life shows how trials can transform us, shaping our character and deepening our faith. Before he became a follower of Jesus, Paul was known for persecuting Christians with zeal and fervor. But God had a different plan for him, a plan that would change the course of his life forever. On the road to Damascus, Paul had a life-changing encounter with Jesus, a moment that would redefine his purpose. As a missionary, Paul faced many hardships, traveling great distances to spread the message of Christ. He was beaten, imprisoned, and shipwrecked, enduring countless trials for the sake of the gospel. Yet, despite all these challenges, he remained steadfast in his faith, never wavering in his commitment. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 9 says, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." This verse became a cornerstone of Paul's faith. Paul understood deeply that God's strength was made perfect in his weaknesses, a profound realization that guided his journey. Through his trials, Paul grew closer to God, finding solace and strength in his relationship with the divine. He spread the gospel far and wide, writing many letters that continue to encourage and inspire us today. His suffering was not in vain. It was part of God's greater plan, a plan that brought hope and salvation to many. Paul's story teaches us that our trials can lead to transformation, turning our struggles into strengths. They can bring us closer to God and help us fulfill His purpose, guiding us towards a deeper understanding of His will. No matter what we face, we can trust that God is using it for our good, shaping us into the people He wants us to be. Imagine a tiny seed. It's small and fragile. But inside that seed there is incredible potential for growth. It can become a mighty tree, but it needs faith to grow. It needs to be planted in good soil. It needs sunshine and water. Faith is like that seed. It's the foundation for greatness. When we have faith in God, we believe in His promises. We trust in His plan, even when we don't understand it. Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1 tells us, "Now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see." We may not see God's plan, but we trust that He is working. We believe that He will do what He promised. Faith gives us strength to face challenges. It gives us hope when times are tough, and it helps us to see God's hand at work in our lives. Abraham's life teaches us about the power of faith. God asked Abraham to leave his home and travel to a new land. God promised to make Abraham the father of a great nation. Abraham didn't know where he was going, but he trusted God. He obeyed God's call. He left his comfort zone and stepped out in faith. Genesis 15 verse 6 says, "Abram believed the Lord, and he credited it to him as righteousness." Abraham's faith pleased God. Even though Abraham was old, God kept His promise. Abraham became the father of many nations. God calls us to step out in faith. He asks us to trust Him even when we are afraid. When we do, He will do amazing things in our lives. David was just a young shepherd when he faced the giant Goliath. Everyone else was afraid. But David knew that God was with him. David said to Goliath, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." David's faith gave him courage. He knew that God was stronger than any giant. David's victory over Goliath teaches us that with God, nothing is impossible. When we face our giants, we can be confident in God's power. Our faith is a shield that protects us from fear and doubt. It gives us the courage to face our fears and do great things for God. Imagine a phone ringing. It's a call from someone important. Will you answer? God is calling you. He has a plan for your life. He wants to do something amazing through you. He may be calling you to share your faith. He may be calling you to serve others. He may be calling you to use your gifts in a new way. Whatever He's calling you to do, it will be an adventure. It won't always be easy, but it will be worth it. When you answer God's call, you step into His purpose for you. You become part of something bigger than yourself. You experience the joy of knowing that you are making a difference. Section 2. Obedience, the pathway to greatness. Think about a train. It runs on tracks. The tracks guide the train to its destination. Obedience is like those tracks. It guides us to God's best for our lives. When we obey God, we show Him that we trust Him. We show Him that we believe He knows what's best for us. Deuteronomy chapter 5 verse 29 says, "Oh, that their hearts would be inclined to fear me and keep all my commands always, so that it might go well with them and their children forever." God's commands are not meant to restrict us. They are meant to protect us and guide us to a life of blessing. Obedience is not always easy. Sometimes it means doing things we don't want to do, but when we obey God, we can be confident that we are on the right path. Section 3. Serving with a joyful heart. God created us to serve others. When we serve others, we are serving Him. Matthew chapter 25 verse 40 says, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." There are many ways to serve. You can volunteer at a local soup kitchen. You can visit someone who is lonely. You can simply be kind to those around you. When we serve with a joyful heart, it shows. People can see the love of God in us. Don't serve out of obligation. Serve out of love. Let your service be an act of worship to God. God will bless you when you serve others. You will experience the joy of giving, you will grow in your faith, and you will make a difference in the world. Section 1. Empowered for greatness. We've journeyed together through the pages of God's Word. We've seen how He equips us for greatness. He gives us unique gifts, like a symphony of instruments playing in harmony. He uses trials to shape us, like a potter molding clay into a masterpiece. Remember, you are not defined by your past mistakes or present circumstances. God sees you with love and purpose. He sees the greatness within you. He knows what you can achieve through him. Just like a loving father, he wants to see you succeed. He wants you to experience the joy of living a life that matters. He wants you to leave a mark on the world that whispers his name. You are not alone on this journey. God is with you every step of the way. He is your strength, your guide, and your biggest cheerleader. Section 2, a journey of faith and action. Faith is the key that unlocks God's promises. It's the foundation upon which greatness is built, but faith without action is like a seed unplanted. It has potential but remains dormant. Take that step of faith. Answer God's call, use your gifts to serve others, obey his commands even when it's hard, and watch as he does extraordinary things through you. This is your life, it's a gift from God. Don't waste it living in fear or doubt. Embrace the adventure, embrace the challenge, embrace the greatness that God has placed within you. Remember, with God, all things are possible. Believe it, live it, and let your light shine bright for him. Stay blessed.